Okay, I know that I'm probably going to get under people's throats, people are probably going to get down my throat after this video, but I do have some thoughts on the recent slate of DC movies that have been scheduled, Ben Affleck and the Batman and all of that. Mostly I'm focusing in this video on The Batman by Matt Reeves and Ben Affleck as Batman. It's been rumored for the longest time now that Ben Affleck's going to hang up the cape and cowl as Batman, and that has mostly been confirmed, because now Warner Brothers has scheduled release dates for their upcoming slate of films for The Suicide Squad, written and directed by James Gunn. It is going to be directed by James Gunn. That is official now. I think all of these are coming out in I think that's 2020. The Batman is 2021, and Super Pets is either 2021 or 2022. But the big thing there, other than Suicide Squad, is called The Suicide Squad and is being a reboot of Suicide Squad. Thank God, because the actual Suicide Squad movie we got sucked. The biggest thing here is we're finally getting news on Matt Reeves' The Batman movie. And it is titled The Batman. It's kind of weird though. Like, does everything have to have the word the in front of it now? However, what we've known for a while, and Ben Affleck's Twitter kind of confirmed this, is that Ben Affleck will not be returning as Batman. I have some mixed feelings of Ben Affleck as Batman. I was one of those naysayers who was like, no, that casting sucks, and I was ultimately proven wrong, because I think Ben Affleck was a good Batman for the material he was given. That version of Batman, however, I did not like. I can't live with the fact that Batman's going around killing people with no rhyme or reason. I get it, Zack Snyder wanted to attribute the darker Batman stories like Dark Knight Returns, the early comics versions of Batman where he actually uses guns and kills people, but Batman, after a while, for quite a while in comics, has had this moral code of no guns, no killing anybody unless if it's absolutely necessary. And I didn't feel like it was absolutely necessary in that movie. That warehouse scene is arguably the best scene of Batman vs. Superman. Even that scene, I'm just like, dude, Batman's killing people. Like, this makes no sense. And I get it, there's going to be the argument that it's hinted at with the whole thing where we see Batman in the Batcave, and you see all the Robin armor, and it's got ha ha ha, joke's on you. It's implied that Robin was killed by the Joker, but I needed more than that. I needed a line where Batman was just like, oh no, Alfred, like, this is what I have to do, like, he killed Robin. Like, I needed something like that. I couldn't just have it implied, and I needed more of a reason as to why Batman was killing people, so I don't like Batman killing people. It's like in Batman Returns when Michael Keaton was playing Batman, and he just randomly kicks that guy, like, down a sewer or something with dynamite, and the dude blows up. I'm like, dude, you just inadvertently murdered this guy. Or it's like, take this version of Superman, for instance. Superman gets punched through hundreds of skyscrapers. That is not Superman to me. He gets punched through thousands of skyscrapers in the fight with Zod. If the Superman I know would have taken that fight to an isolated area so that he wouldn't cause billions of dollars in property damage and probably endanger the lives of almost everybody around him. He probably murdered people. I don't care that the argument is there was nobody in those buildings. I feel like those movies were just too lazy with extras, so he murdered people. Superman thing is a whole nother story. Despite the fact that I don't like this version of Batman killing people, I did really like Ben Affleck as Batman. He proved all the naysayers, one of which was me, wrong. I just think the material he was given just wasn't that great, and when he saw the material, he was just like, oh, what the hell did I get myself into? There's also rumors that when Batman v Superman was being made, that he brought in his own writer, you know, the writer of Argo, I think it was Chris Terrio, to write the Batman scenes, because he's like, this movie's just a mess. And that's what that movie was. It was just an entire gigantic mess. And you could tell in Justice League that Ben Affleck just didn't want to be there anymore, and there was a complete bait and switch with the character of Batman in Justice League. He went from this dark, brooding killer in Batman vs. Superman to this dude who cracks jokes in Justice League. And that was something I really did not like. Batman cracking jokes, to me, that's just wrong. I didn't even like it in The Dark Knight Rises. It's that whole scene where he's talking to Catwoman on the roof, and then she disappears, and he's like, so that's what that feels like. Miss Kyle. So that's what that feels like. Yeah, that scene. It gives me a chuckle, but I'm like, I feel like that's Batman really out of character. So, I mean, I can see why Ben Affleck's just like, yep, I'm done. And there was that whole thing, I forget if it was for Batman vs. Superman or Justice League, where they were doing the rounds with the press. They were doing interviews, and he was sitting right next to Henry Cavill. I think it was Batman vs. Superman, because Henry Cavill, stupidly, wasn't part of the press tours or any promotions or marketing, even though we all knew Superman was in the goddamn movie. But I think it was press tours for Batman v Superman, where we see Henry Cavill and Ben Affleck sitting next to each other, and Henry Cavill's talking to the interviewer, and you just see Ben Affleck with that look on his face like, get me the hell out of here. I just made a mistake. This is going to be a terrible movie. I should have joined Marvel. I feel like from then on, he was like, I just did something that I can't get myself out of. It brings me to my next food for thought. We all say that Ben Affleck is a good Batman, but is he really? Like, if you take him and you put him in the Dark Knight trilogy, is he really that good of a Batman? I don't know. It's kind of like if you switch Christian Bale into this version of Batman. You had Christian Bale's Batman, and then you brought Christian Bale back for the DC Extended Universe, and all of a sudden Christian Bale as Batman is just killing people. That's weird. That would also tell me that the Nolan movies take place in the DC Extended Universe, and it would just be weird. Like, weird stuff like that I don't like. But I feel like if you take Ben Affleck and you put him in the Dark Knight trilogy, or you put him in the 1989 Batman, he wouldn't be that great of a Batman. Why I don't like the material is not only is it because Batman's killing people, and there's that whole bait and switch from Batman vs. Superman to Justice League where he starts cracking jokes, but also because his portrayal of Batman just feels like a giant video game. Feels like I'm playing one of the Arkham games and I don't have a controller in hand. It's speculated that that warehouse scene is like a tribute to the Arkham games, and I could see how. I just feel like Zack Snyder went too far with that scene. Is it really that great of a scene? Like, I think it's a good scene. It's the best scene in the entire movie, but it's kind of like the Wonder Woman trench scene in Wonder Woman, where the tanks are shooting at Wonder Woman, she's deflecting their shots with her armor on her wrists. It's like, that's the scene that tricked people into loving Wonder Woman. I think that warehouse scene is the same thing for Batman vs. Superman. It just feels like a giant video game that you can't play, unfortunately, and that was a huge bummer. Like, that would have been cool stuff in the Arkham game. And yeah, I know that there's people that are going to defend that and be like, yeah, it tributes the Arkham games. Okay, I get that. That's totally fine, and I can see that. I just feel like where we hadn't had a standalone Batman film to that point, that scene didn't really make that much sense. I think this all would have been better too if Ben Affleck had gotten his standalone Batman movie. I mean, one can argue that Batman vs. Superman is essentially a Batman movie with a guest appearance from Superman and a cameo from Wonder Woman. Because it's not Batman and Superman. It's a Batman movie. It is not a Batman and Superman movie. But I feel like you had to do a Batman movie before that, because Batman has appeared in the DCEU 3 times, 2 if you don't count Suicide Squad. And I feel like I don't know this version of Batman because I never got a standalone Batman movie. That's not Ben Affleck's fault. That's just Warner Brothers and DC's fault. I wouldn't be as off the board with them recasting Batman, but now that we don't have a solo Batman movie and we're getting it in 2021 without Ben Affleck, I'm just like, yeah, go ahead, just recast the role. I mean, you can clearly tell he doesn't want to be in it. I mean, the poor Ben Affleck, man. I mean, he was arguably the best parts of those movies, despite the material he was given. And it's rumored that this actually might not be part of the DC Extended Universe, that they're not really connecting their movies all that much anymore. And thank God, because their team-up movies suck. If they can just continue doing what Aquaman did, I'm okay with that. I guess the Batman that's going to be written and directed by Matt Reeves is calling for a younger version of Batman. It's going to focus more on Batman's detective mode, which I think that's going to be pretty cool. But at the same time, I feel like we need a huge break from Batman on the big screen. We've seen him so many times. After The Dark Knight Rises came out, there should have been at least a 7-year hiatus before we saw Batman on the big screen again. Like, The Dark Knight Rises came out in 2012. The Batman is coming out in 2021. If that had been the gap between the last time we had seen Batman on screen, perfect. But no, it happened 4 years later, and now I'm just kind of sick of all these Batman movies happening and seeing Batman on the big screen. Give Batman a rest for a little bit. There's rumors they're doing that Batman Beyond movie now. It's just like, Batman's getting tired. That's really my thoughts on the whole Batman situation, the whole Ben Affleck situation with the Matt Reeves Batman movie. I don't really want to rustle anybody's feathers, but these were thoughts that I felt like we're worth talking about. You can definitely form your own opinion about this. This is just one man's opinion. But I hope you guys are looking forward to the Batman movie, and I'm really curious to see who Matt Reeves is going to cast as Batman. Guys, thank you for watching this video. You can check out some other reviews at the end of this video. I will leave my link to my website in the description below. There you will find my links to my social media accounts. You guys are the best. I'll catch you on the flip side.